Good morning and welcome back to the Flow of Life Tarot. I've got my cup of tea and we are going to do a reading on money. That's the word that came to mind. So we've got the rattle, the upper word and the owl. Okay, let's get some tarot on the table. Welcome back. Thanks for being here. I'm not sure if I said all that. Thanks for bringing your energy. Take what resonates, leave the rest. If this doesn't necessarily feel like your story, just feel free to jump in for the ride and watch it unfold. Yeah, it's like a fresh new way of dealing with things. So it's inspired new action, moving away from this stuck mentality of one's own making. She's there because of her own thoughts, beliefs, paradigms, patterns, subconscious beliefs. Her eyes are closed, so these are subconscious patterns which are binding her. It's funny, I've not really compared this to the devil before, but it is that. But this feels more empowered in the sense that you've got capacity for conscious control to make changes. Sometimes sometimes, the extent to which we can access and influence and work with our subconscious is like hugely debated. There's a huge spectrum. Some people feel you can just access it and reprogram it, and others are sort of way more cautious and quite possibly wisely so in terms of how much we can really interfere with the subconscious. Certainly the ego can't. It doesn't understand it, therefore it's not like a car mechanic that can jump in and just go and fix things. Often in these things they're metaphors, aren't they? So anyway, in this sense, she can consciously do something with her own free will. She does have agency and capacity. And then here we see them moving on. So that perfectly demonstrates this sort of fresh, new, inspired action and inspired thinking, fired up. So this is really the relationship with money, which is quite interesting. I'm filming this on the 8/8 portal day. It's kind of obvious it's to do with the relationship with money. But sometimes we need our stories mirrored back to us to see our blind spots, to see our areas that need working on. Yeah. So this is 8 of Wands. It's the card of fast, new, different, refreshing information, inspired thought, thinking. And again, it's because you have very much experienced, specifically in terms of money and your relationship with money, feeling trapped, stuck, bound by old programming and old stories. Probably sleepless nights, worrying about bills to pay, things to do, and actually feeling like a battle, and certainly not fun, and nothing like the song. Oh, actually, no. Yeah, have a look at the lyrics of the Pink Floyd song, Money. So the relationship with money has been like a real battle. It's been a real struggle. There isn't the light joy of the Fool energy, which is odd because it's energy, right? It's energy. And yet we've labelled it. Our relationship with money needs to change. And that's what's coming through here. And when we do any sort of changes to our relationship, it's a gentle process. We're not looking to, we seek to understand and get clarity, but then not get stuck in the blame in any direction. We might not like the awareness and the truth and the understanding and the clarity that comes through. That can be painful. So there is then the tendency to want to blame and go, oh, well, if that hadn't happened, or if this didn't that, then X, Y, Z. But no, there's more than one step. It's that process. So it's a conscious decision to change one's relationship with money, which is what you're doing, which is why we're having this reading, which is why it's come up today, because that's what your energy has brought up. Let's see if we can get detail on Page of Wands. This fresh new thinking, fresh start. Yeah, the poverty card pops out because you've had enough. You've got to the point where enough is enough. You're done with whatever your relationship with money. You've literally got the Tree of Life, or a version of Tree of Life there, but it's looking rather... Oh, it's a weird mixture of the pentacles looking very juicy and abundant, but the tree doesn't look that thriving and healthy. Yeah. Otherwise, she's trying to keep herself warm. She's crying. She's tired. Excuse me. Drinking my tea. She's had enough. She's done with this. It's essentially a toxic relationship. You can almost. It's like anything. You could. When people have food, what do we call them? Issues or addictions, or they're seeking sustenance. They're seeking nourishment. But the way the psyche and whatever's going on, and this is for all of us. It's not to kind of like just call people out, and name and shame them. This is, but all these things are shared amongst humanity, and some people carry them in one way and another. So food, let's say a food addiction, is probably, I don't know whether it's one of the hardest, but you need food. You need, and bulimia and all there's so many different names for these, but it's essentially the relationship with nourishment, or the relationship with self, or the nourishment of self, which is what money is as well, right? Essentially, it's energy that can nourish. What was my random ramble? Right, you've had enough of this toxic relationship with money. That's what I was getting to. So page 1. Do you want any more with that? Yeah, 6 of Wands. You've had enough, and so you're moving on in a new direction. I've already got the 6 of Wands here, so that's really emphasized. And that's why we've got this page of Wands, because you've had enough and you're moving on. Oh no, 6 of Wands is victory. Okay. So I was saying 6 of Swords. Yeah, so that's a huge leap from this feeling, this lack energy, to feeling success and victory. So that's why this page of Wands is here, because that's what it is leading you into, a new victorious, healthy relationship with money and finances and abundance. And I think if you bear that in mind, if you view this as a relationship and it's your responsibility of how you handle this relationship, because this is your relationship to money, not money's relationship to you. So it's your responsibility, you're accountable. And yes, it's useful to see awareness about how society or schooling or culture or family or all these other things may have influenced and whatever. But now you're an adult, and you now have agency and capacity to view and see these things from a more neutral and liberated perspective. Okay, you do have agency and capacity. I'm just pointing at the 8 of Swords here for that very reason. And perhaps you're realizing this now. And actually, because you realize, oh, this is my relationship to money. And it's like, oh, okay, so if this is my relationship, then actually I can enjoy this relationship. I can invest in this relationship. I can take care of this relationship. And it's my responsibility. And I get to choose how this relationship goes. And it doesn't need to be an antagonistic response to whatever else is out there or whatever programming is within me. You can enjoy this relationship. You're allowed to have a good, healthy, robust, beautiful relationship with energy, with money, with abundance, with finances, with wealth. Absolutely. It's your life. It's the sacral chakra rules relationships to some greater, there's other chakras involved, but yes. Now that's interesting. So this that I'm just expanding on is making me think about then these negative connotations about money, and perhaps people that are greedy, or like Scrooge, who put money, his relationship with money, above relationship with family and friends and colleagues and his community. Now, the shadow is, you could say, oh, well, he had a relationship with money, but he didn't know. Okay, that's the point. It wasn't conscious. It wasn't there may have been a miserly, like, oh, well, in the bigger picture, he lost love at a young age, and that's so he's sort of disgruntled and only feels safety and warmth from money. But then he's using the relationship with money as a substitute for failed relationships elsewhere in his life. As a substitution for actually healing other things. Okay, so that's where things, whatever it is, can go off track, where you think, oh, well, this is good, I'm investing in this, and this must be good, blah, blah, blah. But if that is a substitute for something else, it's like if you date someone just to get over the past relationship, then you're just using that person, and that's not going to be good karma ever, right? So a lot of discernment about your relationship with money, I feel, and new insights and new wisdom and new awareness. Yeah, there we go. Didn't I mention, whether I said it out loud or whether it was in my head, talking about the Ace of Swords here earlier and saying how it's sort of similar to the devil energy, but here she definitely has conscious capacity and free will. This isn't like necessarily deep. Yes, it might be programming, but it may not be deep subconscious program that she may not have access to. She actually does have access and agency here. And I was kind of drawing parallels to the fact that the devil really does point to the greater, deeper aspects of the psyche and the subconscious that we don't necessarily, and also to the ego, right? Because the ego thinks it's in charge, it thinks it's running the show. The ego is a tool. It is an instrument for us to use. We need the ego. It's an absolutely brilliant tool. It's like a car, or it's like a calculator, or it's a brilliant tool. It's very useful. Okay, and we can use it to create boundaries. The ego wants, well, it wants to survive. It doesn't necessarily care about us. It wants to survive. So the problem with the ego is sort of in society and humanity where we're at now, and we're seeing it, is that the ego, it thinks it's running the show. It thinks it's the master, and it operates from that place, and it's a slippery sucker, because it's kind of how humanity's evolved. We've needed that ego to have capacity and agency and to grow as humans. Yeah, even trying to describe it is going to get a bit tricky, so I'll leave that. We're talking about the relationship with money. So this points to, again, those deep subconscious patterns and programming. Money being the root of all evil. Think of some of those like biblical, I think that's a biblical term, is it? Money the root of all evil. And again, just perhaps draw awareness to the fact that, is money the root of all evil, or is it one's relationship and how you treat it? Is dating bad, or is it how you are viewing the other person, and if you're using them, or how much honesty is there in your relationship? And okay, so desire, obsession, fear, shadow. Very interesting. Very interesting that this. I've never necessarily, that I can recall in recent times, been thinking about the devil card so quickly in terms of the Eight of Swords, and then this to appear. So don't underestimate how powerful these cards are as they're coming out. Relationship, money. Yeah. So your relationship to money, I feel like if you're here and you're watching this, you've already had these ahas, or that these have been sort of circling around your awareness for some time. That's the thing about things that resonate and the truth when we hear it, and in a way that it clicks and makes sense, is that we suddenly know that we've known it forever. So we have that moment of, yes. And it's such an amazing moment that it's like, well, yes, of course. Yeah, I knew that. I already knew that. But it's that capacity of it being consciously brought into the light. And as I was kind of saying that, the Hermit pops out with the Eight of Wands, again, landing on the Eight of Wands. So this is like epiphany, and we're on 8-8, so we've got 8-8 here. So this is double whammy of comprehension, of understanding, of knowing something, a truth that you've already known in your bones and in your DNA and in your core, but having clarity around its expression and around your relationship with that truth. And when the Hermit shows up, it points to that inner work and that inner light. That's what intuition is. It's inner tuition, inner teaching. It's our inner self showing us, enlightening us, lighting up from within. Truth radiates from within, right? And the Hermit points to that, and also points to sort of healing as well that comes through this capacity of lowering the volume of the noise externally, or the kind of the internalized noises, which we kind of mix up to be our own. It's a bit like, I think it's a Buddhist or a one of these sort of sages phrases or sayings. It's like when you walk in the river, you cross the river, you're stirring up the mud and the silt, and you can't see clearly. Let the river be, let the water be, and it will find its own balance, and then you'll be able to see clearly. So that's what the Hermit is doing, is silencing the turmoil enough, or just being in that moment of stillness and peace and quiet enough for things to settle, for the clarity to reveal itself. Okay. Can you see these? Should I do a bit more adjustment? I hope this is making sense. It's very clear to me, and I hope I'm conveying it to you. I tend to repeat things, iterate and reiterate as a way for the mind to grasp, because it's not just the mind grasping it. There's other aspects of oneself when you're hearing something that just allows it to resonate and filter through. Okay. And look, we've got the owl again, the owl here. Real sense of wisdom and discernment. And of course an owl here, which I think could be, yeah. We've got a 9 of Wands on the 9 of Wands. Well, actually it's for the whole, let's have a look, let's see what else comes out. Yeah, done with the battles. Done with the illusion, the illusion of money and your relationship, all of that being hidden in the subconscious and not being quite graspable has been a battle and has been exhausting and has been spinning wheels. Even if you've been hustling and grinding, or you've done all the right things, or you've gone to the right schools and got the right education, the right degrees, worked in the right places, or any other millions of routes of life, whatever your own path has been, whether it's more traditional or and how much success you have or haven't had, you feel materially in so again, the Devil card also represents Capricorn, and Capricorn is associated with the 10th house and associated with career, the zenith, and the public image and how one is viewed and seen. So yeah, 3 of Cups. It has, the relationship with money has been actually quite a battle, full of illusions, and perhaps even alienating. Look, this actual, look, I haven't noticed that before, abundance is right at the top of the 3 of Cups here. So it hasn't, my sense is that it hasn't necessarily been that joyful. It hasn't been a fun relationship. It hasn't been that great. It's been about needing this to pay for that, needing this to do this, debts, college fees, whatever, debts for mortgages, lease cars, rental properties, utilities, I don't know, buying a washing machine, going on holiday, or even if people can be considered quite comfortable and quite well off and still have money problems. So, which all points to it's our relationship to money. And you can say, well, it's easy to have a good relationship if you've got lots of money. It's easy to have a good relationship with money if you've inherited lots of money, if you're a trust fund kid. Guaranteed, those people, especially the trust fund, that kind of scenario, does not does not ensure a good, healthy relationship to money, unless that relationship is embedded with growing up with that healthy relationship to money. But let's face it, we're a society full of huge issues that are kind of, people's awareness of how messed up humanity is escalating exponentially. And it's not like we didn't already see it, but it's just so undeniable now. The politics, the feuds, and the everything that's going on in the world, it's so visible, it's so undeniably there, that there isn't anyone in humanity, on this 8 billion people, I dare anyone to say that they've got it all sussed and sorted and they've got a great relationship this or great relationship. Yes, there are some really amazing humans that have done some amazing work. Maybe, I don't know, 1 or 2 born to be highly fortunate, highly spiritual, highly evolved beings, perhaps. But I dare say they still would have had struggles. And I think if there are humans that are sort of absolutely brilliant and healthy and evolved in their relationship to money or something else, then it's because they've done the work. So there isn't ignorance there. There isn't naivety. Is that making sense? This feels like a bit of a rant. I think I'm trying to emphasize that there's no place, there's no need for shame or guilt or blame or remorse or grief or sorrow or loss or resentment or any of those. There's no shame in having a crap relationship with money. I think is what I'm trying to say there. In a very very emphatic, emotionally charged way. So family, friendship, friends, abundance, joy. Yeah, I feel this is this is pointing out that you can have good news. You can have a great relationship with money. Who knew? Okay, and that's a good thing. There's nothing to be ashamed of. This is such a positive reading. Really, this is such a positive reading. I'm wondering whether to... okay, just hang on a sec. Okay, I just really wanted to finish my cup of tea. And I just wanted to think about these 3 cards. I was wondering whether I'd pull some more tarot, but I just had a quick look. So it's amazing how much my senses... These 3 are overseeing this relationship with money, right? And bringing these messages. Now, I've just had a flick through, and there's several key words that have already come out with various things in my various rants and rambles through this that are on point with each of these cards. Okay, so bear with me. It's just really powerful. So the rattle, and see whether you notice these. Actually, I'm going to put some more light on, maybe. Right, I don't know if you can see. There's a bit more light on. So just listen to the key words. See if you can hear words that have already come out in this. The essence. The rattle is the spirit caller, carrying the shaman's prayer to the 4 directions. The body of the rattle is like the earth spinning on its axis. With the aid of the rattle, the medicine woman instills a desired destiny in her future, closing with the prayer, Great Spirit, may your will be done. The rattle guides us to pray for all the earth, not just for our personal needs. When we offer our prayers for the highest good of all, everything we need is provided for us. So I thought this was really interesting in terms of talking about how money and relationship to money and power, and how there's such like negative connotations, and some people fear that money can corrupt or power can corrupt. By staying in your integrity and affirming that Great Spirit, may your will be done, and affirming that everything works out for the highest good and greatest well-being, then you're not going to be corrupted by great wealth, great money, great power. Quite common. I mean, there's lots of stacks of very common subconscious programming, and people can have a whole mixture of them. And one very common one is that sense of piousness, and it's a sort of religious or spiritual hangover from this sort of martyrdom sense of, well, if I do healing work or this, that, and the other, or care and compassion, even those working in hospitals and caring for people, for some reason that not everyone feels they deserve, or there's something around money and payment. It's a weird thing. Like, people think, yeah, okay, great, you can get paid hundreds and thousands, millions for doing a film, but the people that are there wiping people's faces, taking care of them, feeding them, keeping them clean, keeping them safe in their dying days or in their later years, or having gone through surgery, or even children that have gone through or going through various things. Why aren't those people paid hundreds and thousands, millions? Not because, not for any reason other than to say thank you. We value so much the care and compassion and capacity that you are holding for our loved ones in their dire moments of needs, or even those who have no loved ones to care for them anymore. Why can there not be a financial and monetary expression of appreciation? It's odd, right? It's odd that, sort of in very rough terms, our society hasn't worked like that. That's really odd, isn't it? Doesn't that make you want to question your relationship with the received beliefs around money and value and worth and appreciation and respect and gestures of thanks and appreciation? Not payment as in I do this and you give me that, or whatever. Transaction, I pay you, therefore I own you. I've paid you, therefore I've secured your services, therefore you must do X, Y, Z. Here's a contract. But payment, and let's remove the word payment. Money, abundance, finances as a gift of appreciation, as a recognition of thanks. Now, of course, that would make it very hard to tax the lowly peasants in the days of the lords and the land owners and the days of empire and days of pre-empire of regal domain. How would you gather taxes? People are gifting each other. So it's interesting, right? God, that's quite a long ramble. But it's interesting. And then the other thing I mentioned about money being a tool, and I thought this was interesting. The rattle comes to invite you to work with the tools of spirit. But be careful, they are very sharp and can hurt you and others if they are not used mindfully. Set your old tools aside and take up the drawing instruments of spirit. You are consciously stepping into partnership with the divine. This is the time for courageous deeds. Do not let your hesitation get in the way of your expression. Now, I'm hearing what we've been talking about, relationship to money, which is relationship to energy. And it's your relationship to energy. And energy is source. It is spirit. And talking about tools and how that in certain capacities, energy, money is a tool. So that you can do things with that energy, right? And anyway, I just think there's some very interesting parallels that were already coming out through this. The next one, 39, the owl. Again, massively reflecting what was coming up with the owl, okay? So let me hold it for you so you can have a look. Okay, so owl is the master of the night. She can see situations with perfect clarity, more so when it is dark, and is able to discern truth when others are sightless. She helps you find your light and your lightness in the darkest of moments of your life and to embrace the night as your ally. Owl can bring you messages from the invisible world. She opens your ears so that you may hear the voices of your ancestors and you may acquire their wisdom and make it your own. Which I feel it just encapsulates everything we've been talking about. The invitation: look around you, notice every detail and find the hidden messages brought to you by Owl. Do not shoot the messenger. Be grateful to the friend who shows you what you have not wanted to see until now. Observe all the facets of the diamond without judgment. Remember that the facets you dislike are often mirrors of the parts of you that you do not want to recognize. Do not be afraid of the truth, as it will become your compass. Again, I just think that's a very powerful reminder that, you know, you're changing your relationship with money, and there is potentially information 8. There's the other eight of wands. You're changing your relationship with money, potentially through insights that you hadn't had before, and not to get hung up or in a blame game of, well, why didn't I see that before? Or why did society teach me that? Or why did my family teach me that? Or if they hadn't taught me that, then I'd be XYZ by now. Don't fall in that trap. Don't get stuck on the, if only. Oh, now that I know this, I could have been XYZ. I just love the multi-layered expression of these messages, and this just kind of being affirmed in all these different ways. And again, lovely. This is beautiful. Listen to this. Angels, divine helpers, the ancient ones, and all varieties of luminous beings populate the upper world. It is a place where you go to retrieve your destiny and find out who you will become. Discover your great potentials and undreamt of possibilities. It is also the place where the spirits of the dead arrive when they complete their journey to the light. The invitation. The upper world is calling you to step into your fully realized self. Clear distractions so that you can move on into a higher destiny. Do not fall to the temptation to craft a slightly more improved version of yourself. What you perceive as a problem or an obstacle is in fact the irritation you need to take the great leap. Remember, you cannot cross the Grand Canyon in 2 small jumps. Wow. So a very profound layering of pointing to this change, and this is saying these can't be in 2 little leaps across the Grand Canyon. This is a big leap. And do you remember this sort of like new planet that I was seeing, this different orbit? This isn't, yeah. So, you know, sometimes words lose meaning. Great paradigm shift, leveling up, great awakening, great realization, tower moments, all these things. We are at a point now where things are just shooting off in ways like never before. So sometimes the words, we run out of words. We need more words to describe these things. And I'm now seeing like a woodland here. I feel like it's flown out of this magical woodland. And I love this vortex. We are in this 8-8 portal energy right now. And I feel that this is catapulting you. You've got this amazing, brand new, awesome relationship with money, aka energy, aka source and spirit, and your soul and your destiny and your growth and your humanity and in your heart. So do not, as it points to in various places, get stuck on the would have, could have, should have's, or all of that stuff that I've already repeated several times. This is awesome. This is really awesome, powerful energy. Right, we've been going for a while.